Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Angelie, the crafty eclectic. Today I want to read a little bit from a book I wrote called How Sequential Eating Saved My Life and How the 80-10-10 Diet Saved My Health. So let's get into this, shall we? Let's see. I'm going to begin with part of the introduction. And clear the frogs and cobwebs out of my throat. How on earth can eating a certain way or a certain diet save one's life or health? Quite simply put, sequential eating did not save my life the way you think it might have. If you are thinking that it kept me from a terrible turn of events, that would be the job of the 80-10-10 raw vegan diet. I'll refer to that as 811RV for simplicity, and we'll talk more on that later. But first, let me explain what sequential eating is. There is an order to nearly everything in life, and it includes how we eat. Of course, in today's world, that would not be the picture I'm painting here. Most people eat when they're hungry, and because they are hungry, and the smells are so dynamic and alluring that they get drawn into desires to fulfill the cravings set forth from these foods, otherwise known as fast foods. And these items do not deserve to be called foods, not in no way. They are merely stimulants to get one aroused enough to indulge in eating something that only satisfies hunger but does not nourish on a cellular level. These foods are also combined in such a manner that they create all sorts of digestive issues such as bloating, gas, indigestion, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation, belching, and so much more. We will also cover proper food combining principles later on as well. But let's get back to sequential eating. It is believed that most Americans have an eating disorder. Allow me to explain that. An eating disorder is when you eat foods that control you and not the other way around. For the sake of keeping peace, I will speak only of myself at this point to make a point so as not to offend anyone, because let's face it, food is a very sensitive topic to a lot of people, and I know this because I've experienced it firsthand, and it can get quite controversial. So on that note, I'll share my story. First of all, let me give you a quote from the infamous Hippocrates. Before you heal someone, ask them if they are willing to give up the things that made them sick. So let me ask you, are you willing to give up the things that made you sick in the first place? I was not. I tried for a while, but then I fell off the horse and into a puddle of poo. Yes, I said poo. Not once, mind you, but several times before I finally decided to take my own advice and gain control of my eating habits. They say the smart people learn from other people's mistakes. Some people learn quickly, some take time to learn, and then some just have to run into a few brick walls before they learn. Care to guess which one I was? I'm not going to read my full story, but I am going to tell you that currently I am a raw vegan fruitarian. Well, I am living the lifestyle of a raw vegan fruitarian. And what that consists of is eating fruit, and that means both sweet fruits and non-sweet fruits like tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, zucchini squash, yellow squash. I eat some celery. Once in a while, I might eat some peas, the frozen kind out of a bag, and I just warm them up and kind of blend them into a pea soup. That's the most cooked thing I will eat. So on the rare occasion, I do eat a little bit of cooked food, but not that often. I eat a lot of fruit. And a year ago in January, I was in bad shape. And I found myself in the hospital, and the doctors wanting to take my gallbladder. And this wasn't the first time. Like I said, it took a few tries. I declined. Pretty passionately declined, and got kicked out of the hospital because I would not agree to their terms. So I'm not kicked out, but they basically told me that they couldn't keep me there if I didn't let them do the surgery, because then there was nothing they could do for me. And so I had to take it upon myself to go home, and I fasted. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with fasting, and there are groups that are totally against it, but to each his own. I know the first-hand benefits of fasting and how it actually saved my health. And I found a book called The 80-10-10 Diet by Dr. Douglas Graham, and there may be a little controversy about him. There's controversy no matter what door you open, no matter what curve you turn. There's going to be controversy about diet and lifestyle. It doesn't matter who it is. You could be someone who is a well-renowned doctor and has the full research, and they're going to find something bad to say about it. People don't want to give up what makes them sick, because it has been laced with chemicals. It has been laced with stimulants that cause us to want to eat it. But see, these stimulants are not in our natural diet. If you were living in a world pre-existence of fire and technology and tools and gadgets like food processors and blenders, you would not have been able to cook beans or make flour or cook rice or grains or any of that stuff. What you would have done was lived closer to the equator where it was warm, like the apes do or the gorillas do. They stay close to the warm climate where they can have a continual supply of fruit. And that's what we would have done. We would have stayed somewhere where we could stay warm. I mean, if there was no fire, how in the hell could you have stayed warm if you didn't live close to the equator? I mean, think about this. I'm here to make you think. I'm here to make you think outside of your box, the box that the government and everybody else has created for us to live inside, to keep us not thinking for ourselves. The food that I was eating dumbed me down. It kept me from thinking for myself, because all I could think about was eating that food and eating more and more and more, because I was never satisfied. Have you ever experienced that? I'm sure you have, especially if you're eating a standard American diet. They call it sad for a reason, because it is very sad. It may smell good and it may taste great, but it is a hosh pit of crap that is being put into your stomach, and your digestive system is working overtime to assimilate it, to break it down and assimilate it. So sequential eating is eating things in a certain order. I'll get up for breakfast and I'll have watermelon. This morning I had a big bunch of watermelon. I can get a watermelon this big, one of those big long seeded ones, and I can cut it in fours, and I'll have 1/4 of that for breakfast. I know that sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But when you're eating foods that are lower in calories, that aren't cooked, you kind of need to eat a little bit more. But if we were in our natural state that we were supposed to be, and our bodies were perfectly healthy, we wouldn't have to eat near as much as we do right now in order to balance things. We wouldn't have all of these toxins that our body is trying to get rid of. So I'm not going to go much deeper into that, because there's a lot to cover. So I ate the standard American diet. I ate junk like fried chicken and french fries and cheeseburgers and chocolate sundae pies, nuts covered in chocolate, popcorn. Oh my gosh, popcorn was my comfort food. I would have popcorn almost on a daily basis. Popcorn and kombucha, because I quit drinking pop. Soda pop is the worst thing. I had a friend that I worked with named Danny, and we worked at a pizza joint together. I don't want to say any more than that, but he would know who he is if he ever sees this video. And I gotta thank him, because he got me on the road to health just by one word or one phrase that he told me. Every time he saw me with a glass of pop in my hand, he'd look at me and he'd say, "Pop's the devil." And I'm like, "Yeah, Danny, whatever." And then one day I realized why he was saying that, because pop is the devil. I mean, it is loaded with sugar, and not the right kind of sugar. We need sugar for our brain to work. It's called glycogen, but we get that from our fruit, or not glucose, not glycogen. Our brains are simple, honest to goodness sugar from fruits, because the fruit, a whole fruit, has everything we need in it. It has protein, it has fiber, it has fat. Believe it or not, fruit has fat. It has water, which is something that many of us do not get enough of. It has vitamins and minerals. Fruit has potassium and magnesium. A lot of people are deficient. The only thing fruit doesn't have is B12. But if we were living closer to nature like we used to, we would have gotten our B12, because we would have ate dirt. Literally ate dirt, because we'd have picked our food from the dirt. And, you know, we might have rinsed it off if it was nasty or something, but they didn't have to worry about that back then. I don't think pesticides were being introduced pre-existence of fire, so they didn't have to worry too much about chemical residues or runoffs. They could just pick it up and eat it, and okay, that's fine. You know, the occasional chance that it might have been on the ground, I don't think they would have ate it if it started fermenting. Now let me ask you this. We eat a lot of fermented foods. Well, I used to, I don't anymore. But if you were to find an apple on the ground and it was fermenting, would you pick it up and eat it? If you bit into it and you tasted that it was starting to rot, that's called fermenting, would you eat it? You would not, because it would taste nasty to you. But yet, millions of Americans all around the world, and not even just Americans, millions of people, period, worldwide, are eating fermented products like kimchi and sauerkraut and kombucha and kefir and fermented vegetables. Well, if they're doing a lactofermentation, they're using salt. Salt is a very well-known preservative, and it kills bacteria. Doesn't target good or bad bacteria, it kills bacteria. Think about what that's doing inside of your body. Our body needs bacteria to digest our foods. We are made up of bacteria, and that's what digests our foods. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I want to keep this short, but I will put a link in the description box to where you can get my book, Sequential Eating, How It Saved My Life. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you love the video and you want to see more, subscribe to my channel and tap the notification bell that says all to be notified of future uploads. All right, love, peace, and fruitalicious days. See ya. Love, peace, and fruitalicious days. See ya. Run on glucose.